Hello everyone, welcome to the Friday Night Curry Club, welcome to my kitchen. I hope everybody is well and I hope that you've had a lovely week and you're looking forward to a nice relaxing Friday evening and half term. It's half term, so no more waking up on Monday morning for those kids, so we can all take it a little bit easy. Okay, how is everyone? First and foremost, like I always say, we like to give you all a little shout out, so please do give me a hello. Let me know where you are tuning in from, just so that I get a good idea of where we are in the world. And let me know if you're cooking with me today. I know a few of you are. There's been lots of questions coming, so let me know if you're cooking. Say hello and let me know where in the world you are. So have we got lots of people saying hello today?
Joni and Lawrence are here.
Hi Joni, hi Lawrence.
Tonight.
You're just watching tonight. I was going to say, who's cooking?
Tomorrow.
Well, you have to let me know who's cooking and I'm looking forward to your pictures.
Zala is in London.
Hi Zala in London, welcome. Are you new to the Friday Night Curry Club? If you are, welcome. Lovely to have you join us.
Kazina just got here on time in South Africa.
Hi Kazina in South Africa, welcome. Are you cooking? Are you just watching? Are you going to cook later on? Let me know what your plans are. Thank you for joining me.
Steve is here in Bristol. Miriam is in
Hi
Ontario.
Steve in Bristol and Miriam in Ontario. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Lovely to have you join.
Akos is in Hungary.
Hi Akos in Hungary, welcome. Great to have you join again. Have we got some, have we got any newbies?
Debbie.
Let me know if you're new. Hi Debbie.
Is cooking.
You're
Elizabeth
cooking along.
Is in Italy.
Who's that, sorry?
Elizabeth.
Hi Elizabeth in Italy. Welcome. Are you watching?
Joni says Lawrence is cooking tomorrow.
Lawrence is cooking tomorrow, like it. So you'll be sat down with a Prosecco in hand, I'm sure. Well deserved.
Is here again from East US.
Hi
cooking.
Matt from the US, welcome, lovely to have you join. Are you cooking or are you just watching for the timing? You're cooking, brilliant. Who else have we got?
Dean and Crawley.
Hello Dean and Crawley, you're just watching, just down the road from me. Hello.
Michael is in Battle.
Hello Michael, thank you for joining. Lovely to have you come along. Who's that, sorry?
Linda in Arizona.
Hello Linda. In Arizona, wow, how are you doing? Right, welcome to all of you. If you, as you join, please do say hello. And as I always say, this is your opportunity to ask any question you like. So please keep those questions coming in. Let me know if you are cooking along with me. Let me know if I'm going too quickly or too slowly. Just sort of give me some feedback so that I can sort of tweak it as I go along. Okay, so we are cooking a yummy dish today. It's been a while since we've done a lamb curry and I do love a lamb curry. So I decided that I was going to do a lamb curry and I'm going to do it with meat on the bone. So I've chosen to do this Gosht curry and it's a really nice masala, and then we've got some lamb chops that we're putting in there. For those of you who don't like meat on the bone, and I know there's lots of you, that's fine. Neck fillet is a really good cut to use. You can use leg if you want to. I've got some chops and I've got a whole host of other bits and pieces that are on the bone. So I've got some ribs in there. I've got a little bit of leg in there. Just it just means that it needs longer time to cook, and and that's fine for me. We had a late lunch, so we're going to eat later on, but I'm just going to let it simmer away and cook through. So if I take you through what I've got going on here, so we're doing two dishes today. We're going to do this Masala Gosht, or this lamb curry, and then I'm going to do a very quick, it's quite a different preparation for a dhal dish that we're going to do. So it's a dry dhal dish. Got questions coming in.
Cheryl in Florida said,
hi Cheryl.
I'm just watching. I need to find a place to buy spices.
Oh, okay. I'm sure there's loads and loads of places. If not, you can get loads of spices online as well. We do ship out our spices, so please do have a look at the website, harrygotra.co.uk, and you can find it on the app. There's a shop in the app. If you order the spices from me, we'll get them out to you as well. So Always good to have a nice stock of spices so that you can get cooking whenever the urge takes you. So the second dish that we're doing is a dhal dish or a lentil dish, and we're using mung beans, which are these lentils. So I had a lot of questions on the app about this dhal because some of you couldn't get hold of them, some of you were a bit unsure about them. So if you haven't been able to get them, you can use an other lentil, use some green lentils or something like that. Brown lentils will work. I am going to be cooking them in the pressure cooker. So if you don't have a pressure cooker, this can take a little bit longer. The first thing I want you to do is get your mung beans into some hot water and just let them soak for a little bit, because that will just help that cooking process. It'll just soften them. They only need to soak for about 15 minutes, but we may as well just do that now. So you might want to put them in a bowl, give them a little rinse through, and then just put loads of water in there and let them just soak for a while. But I'm going to show you what they look like. So for those of you who don't know, can you see in my hand there or not? So for those of you who don't know what mung beans are, they're these little tiny little green beans, and we use them quite a lot in Indian cooking. They are really, really good for you. They're quite easy to digest. You can also make sproutings with these, so mung sproutings, which you might have seen in the supermarket. All you need to do is just get some mung beans, and just like you do with cress, just a little bit of tissue paper, soak it with water and just sprinkle the beans on there, and they'll start to sprout, and you can have them in salads, and you can cook them a little bit in stir fries and that kind of thing. They're really, really good for your tummy, really good for digestion. So it's a nice little ingredient to have in your store cupboard. But for those of you who are cooking the dhal, just get your mung beans soaking so that they start to soften up beautifully. So I've got mine, I've literally just done it. So, oops, hang on, can you see? So they're just in there and they're just starting to soak through. Okay, is everyone happy so far? Any more questions that we've got coming
Catherine
through?
in Greater Manchester's cooking tonight. She said it's a highlight of her lockdown week.
Hi Catherine from Greater Manchester, welcome, thank you for joining. It's lovely to hear that you're cooking. I'm really pleased that it's the highlight of your week. I know things have been really tricky for a lot of people, but this is our opportunity to cook together and have a little bit of a chit chat and a little bit of fun. So it's lovely to have you join. As I say, please make sure you say hello as you join, and you know, there's always some quiet people sitting in the background that never say hello. I'm talking to you, make sure you say hello, because I like to give you a little shout out.
Margaret has yellow mung dal. Does she need to soak them?
So, mung dal, as with all dal, I'm just putting my pan on, just so that it heats up, because it's going to take a little bit of heating. So mung dal, this is whole mung, the green one is the whole mung dal. You can also buy the split version, which is it's smaller, yellow in colour, and it's basically these beans that have been split in half and dehusked, so the green shell has been removed. The split mung dal does not need to be soaked because it cooks really, really quickly. So you don't even need to pressure cook that one. And if you are using that, I'll give you sort of instructions as we're going through. It's going to end up being a slightly different version. This version is going to be, it's going to have a lot more texture to it. If you're using the split one, it's going to be slightly different because it's much softer. So that's a very good question, and I should have pointed it out, but thank you for asking. So if you are using split mung beans, you don't need to soak it. If you're using green lentils, because I know some of you said you were using green lentils, yes, you can soak them. Any whole lentil, then please do soak that. If you're using a split lentil, you don't need to necessarily soak that. I hope that helps and clears things up. Okay, so for the lamb dish, what we're going to do is, first and foremost, we want a really deep, dark, rich, delicious base masala to that. So we've got a couple of onions. Thank you to those of you who've already sent pictures of your kitchen as you're starting to cook. I love to see you guys in your little spaces. It's brilliant. I did get a few comments last week about the disaster that was left at the end of your cooking session. So a few photos of the aftermath would be really quite fun to see as well. So take a few pictures as we're going.
Tracy said, I'm awake.
Hi Tracy.
Always a good day. Good morning from Tracy in South Australia.
Good morning Tracy in South Australia. You're awake. 5 o'clock in the morning, is it? Welcome. Lovely to have you join. You woke up this time. Your alarm went off and you woke up. Amazing to have you join us all the way from Australia. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so I'm going to get this masala going first of all, and I'm going to use my trusted little bit of kit, the best thing in the world, a little chopper, which just keeps you, stops you from crying, and it just makes life really easy. Now with this dish, because I do want the masala to be fairly smooth, it's always a good idea to use a chopper like this. If you haven't got one, you can grate your onion if you're brave enough to do that, or just chop it up really nice and finely. And there we go, I knew I dropped a little bit. So I'm going to start with one, and this, I love it, it's so easy. So that's like a few little chops, and that's done what I wanted it to do. I'm going to put this one in.
Vicky in Chattanooga, Tennessee said,
hello Vicky in Tennessee.
Her daughter-in-law in South Africa is a wonderful Indian cook. I miss her fabulous food so much. I'm watching your video to help compensate.
Oh, you're missing your daughter-in-law, was it? Oh, bless. Oh, well, I hope I can help you with the fact that you're missing her a little bit. It's always lovely to have you join, so welcome. Okay, so into your pan then, let's get some oil in there. And whilst we just chop out onions, I'm going to talk you through all the different ingredients that we've got. So we've talked about the mung beans. We'll cover that dish once we start cooking it. So for the lamb, we've got 2 onions, 2 largish onions, which I've just blitzed in here. A little bit of oil for your pan. I've got some garlic cloves. Now, because this is a really lovely meaty dish, it's lamb, you can go a bit heavy-handed on the garlic. So I've got 6 big cloves of garlic. The lamb can take it, so it's just a delicious thing to use. So I've got some garlic, I've got some ginger, fresh ginger, and I'm going to go with 3 green chillies in here. Now, if you like it hot, you can add a little bit more. If you don't like it as hot, then use a little bit less. I quite fancy a really meaty, spicy curry today, so I'm going to use 3 chilies. I've got my meat, obviously, which I've talked about.
Tracy said, I couldn't find a link to buy your Friday Night Curry Club t-shirt.
Oh, so Tracy's just asked, she couldn't find the Friday Night Curry Club t-shirts. If you look on where you are right now, looking at me, just below that window, there should be a merchandise shelf, and there's a whole load of merchandise in there. Let me know if you can't find it, and I will have to send you a link to it. But it's literally on this page that you're watching me on.
Johnny said, oh, I had a senior moment, forgot to take the blade guard off the pork chop.
Johnny, that's a bit silly, but I hope you caught up. So we've got the ginger, the garlic, the chilies. In terms of spices that are going to go into here, from my amazing spice tin, we've got some turmeric, I've got chili powder, I'm going to put some methi in here, which is the fenugreek leaves. We've got some garam masala going in at the end, and then I've got some fresh coriander, no I haven't, I've got some coriander seeds, which I'm going to crush and put in, and I've got some cumin seeds that I'm going to crush and put in as well. Some yogurt, so I'm just using some Greek yogurt, which is my yogurt of choice, and then I've got a tin of tomatoes and some salt as well. So that's what you should have for the lamb dish. I hope you all have got the same ingredients. So I'm going to give this last little blast, and then we're going to get it in there. So that's what it's looking like. Really chopped up, nice and fine, so that it will cook down beautifully. So that's going in. Now I've got my temperature on fairly high.
Fariha from Manchester's asked, "Hi Harry, I love your channel. How do you get more flavour from your meat?"
How do you get more flavour from your meat? In a curry, do you mean? So there's, with a lot of Indian dishes, it is really based on the masala. So you get a lot of flavour into your masala first, and you make sure that's cooked down properly, and it's not watery, it's not liquidy, it's a nice thick paste. You then add your meat into there, and all of the juices and the flavours will come from the meat. What I don't like to do is add lots of, once my meat has gone in, add lots of water to it, because I want the juices and flavour and deliciousness to come out of the meat, and that's where you get that lovely meaty flavour. I hope that's what you meant when you just asked that question. If it's not, ask it me in a different way, and hopefully I'll be able to answer. Okay, so the onions have gone in, and I'm going to give that a good stir. Now I want this to get a little bit of colour to it. So when I'm thinking about this as a lamb dish, I'm thinking deep, dark, beautiful, meaty flavours. So we need to make sure that this cooks down really, really well. If you wanted to, you could have added some whole spices in at the beginning just to give it a little bit more of that earthy flavour. Things like black cardamom would work really well. You could put a little bit of cassia bark in there, and that will just sort of help and mellow that dish out and make it even more meaty in its flavour. But I'm keeping it simple today, which is what I like to do. So, oh, it's making my eyes water. So we're going to let that do its thing and let that cook away. I'm going to take my spoon out and just move this out of the way. And we're going to get our other ingredients ready. So my ginger, garlic and my chilli. So I'm going to pop those into here, and I'm going to blitz them all together because it's going to save me lots of time. Just going to chop this up a little bit. So those of you who are cooking along, how are we doing? All we've done so far is put some onions in a pan, so I'm hoping you're still with me at this point.
Mike from Crawley has asked, can you use chicken thighs instead of lamb?
So absolutely. So there are a few people on the app as well that asked about alternatives. So whenever I do these sessions, I always try and give you alternatives because not everybody likes lamb. There's a lot of people who do vegan dishes or vegetarian dishes. So I will always try and give you alternatives, which I add in the copy that I put out there on a Wednesday. If you don't want to use lamb, absolutely. Chicken thighs is great for this. Just take the skin off and you can use them on the bone. If you don't want to use thighs that are on the bone, you can use fillets as well. You just have to adjust the cooking time. It won't take as long. But all of this bit, in terms of making that masala, that's all the same. Is anybody cooking any veggie options today or vegan options? Let me know, because there's usually a few of you that are. It's always good to know so that I can sort of talk you through where you need to make tweaks and changes. Okay, so we've got our chilies and our garlic in there. I'm just putting the ginger in. Now you will notice that I'm not very good at peeling ginger, so that's just going to go in. Just make sure you wash it because it can be muddy sometimes. I'm just going to blitz all of that together. Now if your onions catch in your pan, which can happen, all you need to do is just put a little splash of water in, and that will just lift everything off the bottom of the pan. And it just means that...
What type of chilies do you use, says Rosemary?
So the question is, what type of chilies do I use? So with Indian cooking, you tend to use finger chilies, which are long green ones. Finger chilies or rocket chilies are good. Serrano chilies, those are usually the chilies that you would use during the cooking process. So they're always green, nice, thin and long, because they have a lovely heat to them, but they also have a really nice fresh flavour as well. And when you're cooking Indian dishes, we normally use chilies in two different ways. So we have fresh chilies during the cooking process, and then we will add chili powder as well, and that's really for a little bit of colour, a little bit of warmth, but also a tiny little bit more of a kick, which is why we sort of tend to do it in that way. And there's also, you know, you would add it at different stages through that cooking process, because that's what gives you your flavours, that's what gives you your depth of flavour, and it gives you that lovely sort of aromatics that you get, is all to do with which stage you add your spices. So you get this lovely sort of amazing flavour and build up as you're cooking.
We've got quite a few questions.
Okay, so we've got some questions. So I'm going to let my onions cook down. I'm going to add a little splash of water, and then we'll answer some of these questions. Okay.
Catherine is doing a veggie version. She's not decided which veg. She's got jackfruit, courgette and peppers to hand.
Okay, so Catherine's question is, she wants to do a veggie version, and she's got jackfruit. I'm assuming it's tin jackfruit you've got. And what was the other?
Courgette and peppers.
Courgette and peppers. So jackfruit will work really, really well with this, because jackfruit will just cook really slowly and it'll absorb those amazing flavours from the masala. So you could put your jackfruit in at the same time as we put the meat in and let that cook away. The courgette you can add, it will be slightly more, more moisture to your dish. I think maybe the jackfruit and the pepper, but cook your jackfruit first and let that all sort of come together. And then when we add the yoghurt, if you are adding yoghurt, that masala will start to thicken up. At that point, you can add your peppers, because you don't want to put them in too early, because they will just cook down too much. You want a little bit of colour and vibrancy from the peppers, so we'll put those in later on. Does that help?
Jessica from California has a general question.
Hi Jessica from California, welcome, lovely to have you join me. How you doing?
Does Indian cuisine usually incorporate star anise? If so, some examples?
So Indian food, you don't tend to use a lot of star anise, if I'm honest, and you know, it's all very, very regional. There are certain dishes that I will use anise in. It's just to get that lovely aniseedy flavour. There's a few recipes on the website. I think I use it in my chaat, my chicken chaat dish. I use it in, and my zakuti chicken, and that forms part of the spice blend that I use. So the anise flavour is it's almost fennel-like, but it's much more gentle, and it just sits very, very gently in the back of the dish. You can also use it in rice dishes for a little bit of an anise flavour. But yeah, good question. And then, down south, they tend to use it more than we do up in the north of India.
And then Johnny prepped his lamb as per your kadai recipe. He said, I hope that works.
So it's prepped. Should be fine. Are you, Johnny, are you using chops, or are you, using neck fillet? Let me know what you're using, because obviously it's different depending on what you're using. I know a few of you are using chops, which is lovely, but that's all good. Okay. Then, another question.
Steve says, I know this is a lamb dish, but lamb is hard to get here. Can you substitute goat?
Absolutely, yes, yeah, you can use goat if that's what you can get hold of. Goat curry is amazing. Absolutely, you can use goat for this, and it will be a similar sort of goat. Sometimes, depending on the age of it, can take a little bit longer cooking wise, but yeah, it will give you a great flavour. So yeah, absolutely.
Johnny's got neck fillets.
Oh, you got neck fillet. So that's fine. Yeah, so you've just cubed it up, and that's fine, and we'll add that in at the same time as we put the meat in that I'm doing. So I've got my ginger, I've got my chillies, and I've got my garlic in here. That needs to get a bit of a blitz.
Gordon has said star anise is great in a gin and tonic.
Star anise is good in a gin and tonic. I agree with you. Okay. Right. So make sure that your ginger and your garlic and everything is all chopped up nice and finely.
Cheryl has asked, what are the spices that you keep in the tin?
So my spice tin, so this is just for you, Cheryl. I'll go through them as we get a little bit of colour to these onions. How are your onions doing? Are you starting to get colour to them? Let me know on the chat. So I'll just talk you through what I've got here. Can you see? So in my spice tin, at the top here, I've got mustard seeds. So I call this the 7 key spices. Mustard seeds, I've got cumin seeds in the middle. I've got coriander seeds. I've got methi, which is dried fenugreek leaves. Turmeric, garam masala and Kashmiri chili powder. So those are my 7 key spices that I have in my spice tin. And I use them probably more often than any other spices. And then I've got a whole load of other spices that I use depending on what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm adding a little bit of water as and when I need it, just to lift everything off the pan and let that cook. It should be smelling quite nice. Onions cooking. I think onions have got a lovely aromatic when they're cooking down. Okay, give this another little blitz. Right, is everybody with me?
Yeah.
Everyone happy?
Yeah.
Good, good. I do want to get a bit of colour to this before I add anything else into there. And it's going to take me a little bit longer. This is a fairly new pan, so it won't brown as quickly. Right, okay. So all I did with my lamb, so I've got chops here, which you can see. All I did was I just took the excess fat off. So quite a lot of the time you get quite a big belt of fat around them. I want a little bit of fat on there because that's going to give me flavour and so on. But I took those great big chunky bits of fat off because I don't want it to be too unpleasant and chewy. So those have come off. So if you haven't done that, you've got a bit of an opportunity to just trim off any excess fat that you've got on your lamb. You can do that now. Right, I'm going to go in with my ginger and my garlic and my chillies. Now when you put this in, do be careful because you've got chillies in there. They can sometimes catch the back of your throat. Go. Give that all a stir. There we go. Right, so let that do its thing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my tomatoes into here and I'm going to blitz those up as well, just so that I get a nice smooth masala. So we're just prepping slowly and it's going to be delicious. There we go. So if you've got chopped tomatoes already, you probably don't need to do this bit, but I like to use whole tomatoes just because I just think the masala gets much thicker and nicer.
Someone said, cook the fat separately on a baking tray. It makes a lovely chef's treat with a glass of Pinot.
Oh, that sounds lovely to me. So just give that a little.
Karen said she's very envious of your PE Creuset pots. Talk about how essential they are so Rob gets the hint. I've got a big birthday coming up.
So I have to say that if you are going to invest in a pot or a pan, there's nothing better than a really good cast iron pan, just because it will last you an absolute lifetime. It really will. I love these pans for lots of reasons. The way that they cook the food, the way that they bring that heat back into the pan, the fact that you can put them in the oven, the fact that you can carry them to the table. They're just an absolute joy to have, but they just make cooking easy. So Rob, if you're listening, I suggest that you do
Get on it.
You do invest. It's a big birthday coming up.
Mike's asked, I love your tin opener. Where did you get that from?
So this is the best tin opener in the world. So for those of you who join me regularly, I do a little bit of work with Kuhn Rikon, who are these guys, and they have the best gadgets in the world in terms of the stuff that they produce for the kitchen. It works. It's just great products. They're a Swiss company, and I would highly recommend having a look at some of their products, because we're going to use a few more of their little gadgets in a little while, and it's absolutely well worth having a look at.
Hank said Le Creuset just made good on their lifetime warranty. They got 2 new pots to replace 2 that were more than 20 years old.
Ah, amazing. That's really good to know. Hi Hank, I don't think I said hello to you yet. Are you cooking?
I can't remember.
I'm not sure if you said that.
Yes, he is cooking.
You're cooking, brilliant. Okay, I'm going to show you the inside of my pan.
Say hello to Rosa from Caracas in Venezuela.
Hello Rosa from Caracas in Venezuela, welcome. Is this the first time you've joined us? I don't remember.
I don't recognise.
No, I don't recognise your name, so welcome, lovely to have you join us. So in my pan, it still needs to get a little bit of colour to it, but it's smelling amazing. And the way that I'm going to do this is slightly different to how I normally make my masala, and that's because I've got meat that I'm going to put in here, and I'm just wanting to sear it in the pan before I add my tomatoes and all of the other bits and pieces, and let that sort of start to come together a little bit. Okay.
Can you say the bit about the tomatoes again for Hank, please?
So, in terms of my tomatoes, I tend to use plum tomatoes if I'm using tin tomatoes. I tend to use whole plum tomatoes rather than chopped tomatoes, just because I think the gravy and the masala that you get from whole plum tomatoes is just thicker and richer and much more flavoursome. Chopped tomatoes, I find them a little bit watery, so I tend to not use them. And people quite often worry that it's going to take a long time for the tomatoes to break down. It's not the case. They break down very, very quickly, or you can do what I've just done here. So there's lots of different ways or different opportunities to break them up.
Mariam's asked, I've just joined. Is that a chopper with a green? Is there a chopper or a puree maker?
Who's that, sorry?
Mariam.
Hi Mariam, lovely to have you join us. Welcome, thank you for joining. This, it's a chopper. It's a string pull chopper, so it's a manual one, but it's really, really good to make salsas in. It's great for onions, which is what we've used it for. I've also just chopped ginger, chillies, garlic in there. It's just one of my best kitchen products, so I do like to use it.
Lots of people liking Kernrikon stuff. Gordon says their knives are really sharp, my fingers will testify.
Yeah, they're great products. They really are great products, and I'm glad that you guys like them. And we did do a little bit of a discount for you all recently on them, which is always nice to be able to help you out when you've got products that you want to purchase.
And then, oh, Rosa, it's Rosa's second time. She's preparing some of it for the family.
Hi Rosa, so this is your second one. Brilliant. So you're cooking along, or are you just watching today and you're going to cook along later?
I think she's making it for her family.
If you're cooking, then even better.
And then you've Hank is using fresh tomatoes instead of tinned. Is that all right?
That's fine, Hank. If you're using fresh tomatoes, just again give them a little blitz. Just chop them up really, really finely. If you're chopping, absolutely fine.
And then
we've talked about tomatoes before, I think.
In terms of someone said when I use tinned tomatoes, the flavour's different. Do I need to add sugar to get rid of acidity?
I don't add sugar to get rid of the acidity. You just need to make sure that you cook your masala down to the point where you lose that acidity. So some people will add sugar. I just don't. I don't think you need to. If you're cooking it down enough, that natural acidity that's in the tomatoes will dissipate and you will lose it. If they're still tasting acidic, then I think your sauce or whatever you're cooking needs longer. So that's my
We have
advice.
a few questions.
We've got questions. Lovely.
Someone has said, I want to make your samosas, but I've got bad hands. Can I mix the dough in my KitchenAid?
Yes, absolutely. You can certainly mix the dough in the KitchenAid. It makes no difference. I've got one there. Exactly the same process. Just do it in the KitchenAid and let it rest before you start to roll them out. But yeah, samosas are amazing.
Have you ever used a Japanese nikiri knife? I'm thinking of buying one for chopping veg.
Yes, they're amazing. I have a few of them here. Use them all the time. In fact, I've even made my own. This is my own Japanese knife that I handmade, that blade, and my handle is made from mango wood. Look at that. I made that. It's I'm very proud of it. Look at it. Beautiful, beautiful thing. But yes, love Japanese knives. Absolutely love Japanese knives. They're brilliant. And again, they will last a lifetime.
If you could only eat one Indian dish for the rest of your life, which would it be?
That's quite a tricky question because I love a lamb curry. I think it's probably my favourite thing ever. But having said that, I also love tandoori chicken because it's just really nice to have with a salad and it's a really quick dinner. But I really like all of the snacks, so I love samosas and kebabs and that kind of thing. So I don't really know what I can say as one dish. Maybe it'd have to be a medley of all of those dishes.
No, it would be tariwala lamb.
Tariwala lamb.
It would be tariwala
lamb.
My
lamb and roti is probably
Yeah.
my ultimate favourite thing when it comes to Indian food. Okay.
I can answer that for you. It would be tariwala lamb and roti.
So I've started to get a little bit of colour now, and I hope you have as well. I'm going to now add my lamb to this, and what I want to do is have this on quite a high heat because I want to sear that meat so that it locks in all of that yummy flavour. So I'm just going to
Say
pop
hello
those
to Sue.
pieces of meat in. Hi Sue, is that Sue Geen?
Mm-hmm.
Hello Sue. Are you cooking? You didn't tell me in the end whether you were cooking or not. I hope you are. If not, I'm sure you've probably done this already, haven't you? So I'm just putting my bits of meat in and I'm going to sear them so that we get a little bit of heat. So all we've done, if I give you a little recap, is that we put a little bit of oil in and we started to saute some onions that had been chopped up really, really finely. And then we added, once they got a little bit of colour to them, we then added some ginger, garlic and chillies that had been chopped up. Cook that down. Every time it catches, a little bit of water just to lift everything off the bottom of the pan and let that sort of start to cook and brown and get really lovely and delicious, and you'll start to get the aromatics coming through. So all I've now done is, once we've got a little bit of colour to it, the meat's gone in, I'm just trying to sear that meat, get some, get that lovely flavour locked into it. And I'm going to give that all a stir just until it starts to change colour. So you'll see that your lamb chops just sear and they just change colour, and that's all you want to do.
Sue isn't cooking. She's doing your dal once she's watched it.
You're doing the dhal soup. This is so it's a very different different type of lentil dish that we're doing, but it is nice. It's more of a salady type dal.
Debbie has joined in Oregon.
Hi Debbie in Oregon.
11 a.m. She said it's 31 degrees.
Oh,
it's
31 degrees.
No, but she's in the US, so Fahrenheit. That's really cold.
Yeah, okay. Do you know what? It's been absolutely freezing here. We've had a really, really, really cold spell over the last few days, and so I've spent most of my day today just clinging to the radiator. I don't like being cold. I really don't like being cold.
Minus 0.5.
So it was -5 here last night.
So it's about -1, -2 during the day.
At the moment it's about -1, -2, and we've still got a bit of snow outside, so it has been really cold here as well. Okay, I'm just going to show you the inside of my pan.
Rose has asked you to explain what is Kasoori methi.
I will talk to you about Kasoori methi in a minute. I'll just show you the inside of my pan first. So that's what it's looking like. Yeah. And now I'm going to add the tomatoes. So if you are
Hang on, before you do
ready, get your tomatoes ready. Do you want to take a...
Yeah.
So let's add our tomatoes in.
Hang on, wait a second. Yep. Go.
So just pour your tomatoes in. This is where all the yummy stuff happens.
Gordon said it's minus 3.7 in Northampton at the moment.
Minus 3.7 in Northampton. Have we got any more temperatures, guys? It is really cold at the moment. There we go. Just mop that to one side.
Cheryl, who was I think it was Cheryl who was asking about the tin earlier, has just bought one of your tins.
Just bought a tin? Brilliant. Yeah. You won't be disappointed. There's nothing more amazing than cooking a curry with a proper masala dabba. It's brilliant.
It makes you look good as well.
Okay, so the tomatoes have gone in. Once your tomatoes are in, we're going to just add a few spices, and then I'll come back to the question about fenugreek.
Hank is running a little bit behind.
Okay, don't worry, Hank. Where are you?
He's searing the meat.
You're still searing. That's fine. Don't worry about it. Just keep on doing that until you get a little bit of colour. And then into this, once you've put your tomatoes in, I'm going to add some turmeric. I'm going to put a little bit of chilli powder in, and then I'm going to put some ground cumin seeds and some ground coriander seeds. Don't worry, I will repeat it. So I've got a teaspoon of turmeric going in.
Matt said it's about 28 degrees Celsius in Florida today. Please don't ban me.
28 degrees. Oh. In Florida, you lucky, lucky person. So I've got turmeric and chilli that's just gone in there. I'm going to add some fenugreek. And then I'm going to add some ground cumin seeds. About a teaspoon and a bit. And because this is a meaty dish, because this is a lamb dish in particular, which can be quite fatty, I'm also going to add some ground coriander seeds, because that will just cut through that fatty flavour. So this is on quite a high heat as well, because I'm just heating up those tomatoes that we've put in. So about 2 teaspoons of coriander going in there.
-7 in Hamburg.
-7 in Hamburg, wow. Ooh.
Do you know if Kernracon shipped to Australia?
I have a feeling that
Tracy says she doesn't think they do.
Okay. I'm not 100% sure. I can find out for you though. I'll have to have a little look and come back to you on that. but we'll do a little bit of research whilst we're here. Once your spices have gone in, we're going to mix all of that and bring that together.
Do you have any recipes using fresh fenugreek leaves?
I do have recipes using fresh fenugreek leaves. So there's my methi chicken, which is a chicken curry dish that you cook using fresh methi leaves, fresh fenugreek leaves, and it's just delicious. You can find that on the app, and you can find it on the website as well. So methi chicken, methi murgi it's called actually on the website. We'll find a link for it and we'll put it on the chat there for you.
Did you talk about...
I haven't talked about methi. No. I will talk to you about methi right now.
What was I looking at?
So, the link to the... What I will do before I do that is just show you what my pan looks like. Hopefully you guys who are a little bit behind have caught up now, because this is where we are. So the tomatoes have gone in, the turmeric's gone in, the chilli powder's gone in, fresh ground cumin seeds and fresh ground coriander seeds have gone in. So what I'm going to do with this now is I'm going to turn it down to a gentle heat. We're not adding any water because that moisture is going to come from the meat and the tomatoes that have gone in there. The only bit of moisture that I did add was when I swilled out the tomato tin. I just poured that in. That's just to get all the little bits of tomato out. I'm going to pop a lid on this and we're going to let that simmer away on a gentle heat, just to let it start cooking and let those chunks of lamb start to sort of absorb the masala and the yummy, yummy flavours that are in there. So, any questions?
-12 in Ontario.
-12 in Ontario.
-8.3 in the Southeast Czech Republic.
-8.3
in Southeast Czech Republic.
In the Czech Republic.
-7 in Germany, but we'll get to -18 tonight.
-18 in Germany. Holy moly's.
You're getting cold just thinking about it.
Oh, I can't bear being cold. It just makes me feel a bit funny. Okay, so fenugreek. For those of you, I can't remember the... Rosa was asking about fenugreek. So fenugreek is, it's a green. It's a green that grows, and you get little leaves, sort of 3 leaves like this. It looks a little bit like clover, but it's not, and it gets yellow flowers on it. And we tend to use that in a very similar way as to how we use spinach, but it's got an overriding bitterness. That's the flavour and the aromatic that you get from it. We use it in different ways. So you can use the spice, which is quite a hard spice, or it's like it's almost like a little stone. If I show you, I might have some in my...
Can you clarify for Salma, if I'm using split mung beans, do I need a pressure cooker?
No, if you're using split mung beans, you don't need a pressure cooker. So this is what fenugreek looks like as the spice. And if you grow those seeds, you will get this lovely green plant that's really aromatic, and you can use that the same way that you would use spinach. You can use it with potatoes, you can use it with chicken. You can also grind this up and use this as a ground spice. As I said, its overriding aromatic is bitterness, so you have to be really, really careful with it. If you're using the spice, it's really quite a strong flavour, and it can be very, very overpowering. But when you use methi, so this is fenugreek, but it's the dried leaf that's been just sort of ground down a little bit. This you can be fairly heavy-handed with, so it won't overpower your dish. It just adds a real earthiness, whereas the spice you have to be very, very careful with. So don't sort of mix the two up. They're two very, very different things. I tend to use the green fenugreek a lot in my, especially my meaty curries, because it just gives an amazing aromatic. Okay.
Teresa said, I've been following your recipes for a good few years now, but this first time joining live. I've got my pork chop and I love it.
Hi Teresa, welcome. Thank you for joining. So it's your first one. Lovely to have you join the Friday Night Curry Club. And what was the...
She just got her pulled chop and she loves it. You've
got your pulled chop. It is brilliant. I don't... For everyone who's bought one so far, the the resounding joy has been amazing. They are brilliant. They're so handy. I use mine literally every single day for something or another. I will use it all the time. Okay, so we go... Oh.
Can you just go over what cut of lamb we're using for Tracy?
So in terms of the cut of lamb that we're using for this, this is a dish that is being cooked on the bone. So I'm using lamb chops in here. That I've taken a lot of, if you've got a big chunky bit of fat on there, I've taken that off. You can also use neck fillet. You could use leg if you don't like meat on the bone, that's fine. But for me, I like this dish to be really sort of on the bone so I can pick it up and chew. So I'm using lamb chops in here. Was that all the question? Yep. Okay, so moving on then, we're going to also be making this mung dal as well, which is here. So it's been soaking since we started, so that's what it looks like.
Before you do, Karen has said, can we please talk about the lamb cut? Your chops look different from mine, so which part of the sheep is your cut from? I have cutlets.
Yeah, so cutlets are the prime cut, and they won't take very much cooking at all. So these are the other chops where you've got the two bits of meat and you've got the middle bone, so you've got the two bits of meat on there, so it's the lower end of the animal. The cutlets are the prime bit, and they are very, very tender, so they won't require a lot of cooking. The chops that I'm using are sort of the rib area, and they need a little bit more cooking. So I've also, in my pan, I've also got some ribs in there as well, because it's just that bony bit. The chops that the cutlet bits that you're using, they're really, really a lovely cut of meat to just sort of do in the oven or under the grill, or you can just sort of cook them. But they will be really lovely in this as well, so don't worry that they're going to go hard or anything, because they won't. They're really tender pieces. But yeah, you have two different types of chops. Okay, happy with that explanation? Right, what we're going to do is we're going to move on and make the dal, and we're going to do that in a pressure cooker, which I've got here. So with my lentils, I'm just going to rinse these off. So I've used 200 grams of these lentils, and into that I'm going to add about 370 mils of water. I'm just going to guess really by eye. So we're just going to pour that straight into the pressure cooker. Make sure you get all of those bits in. Right. So who is using a pressure cooker? We've got people using their pressure cookers. I know a few of you have bought ones recently. So the thing with the pressure cooker is that you need it to come up to temperature. And when it comes up to temperature, with these lentils, we're going to cook them for about 10 minutes on high. So what will happen is, if I start again, all I've done is put the lentils in there, I've put the water in, and I've put the lid on, and this is going to come up to temperature, and then it's going to start cooking under pressure. So my little gadget here will come up, it'll come up to one ring. And then which is low temperature, which is low pressure, and then it's got another 2 rings, and that's high pressure. So I'm going to let it come up to high, and then I'm going to cook it for about 10 minutes.
Can I use coconut oil for the dal?
You can use, yeah, absolutely. If that's what you've got, you can use coconut oil. All I'm going to do is just use a little bit of vegetable oil just to make that masala in. Now with this, so normally when people cook lentil or dal, you think of it as a saucy, almost like a soupy dish. This is a little bit more, it's more like a salad, I would say. So it's a dry lentil dish. So the mung beans are really good in it because they've got a lot of texture to them. And so green lentils will work. They'll have that a similar sort of texture to them. You just need to make sure that they're cooked because you don't want to get tummy ache or anything like that. So we're going to let this come up to pressure, and then what we're going to do is add a little bit of flavour and spice to it, and we're going to do that with a number of spices. Now I'll talk you through the spices that we're going to use, and if you don't have them, just give me a little shout out and I'll tell you what you need to do. So we're going to use cumin seeds, we're going to use mustard seeds, and we're just going to saute those off. And then we're going to use something called Asafoetida. So who knows what Asafoetida is? And if you don't know what it is, I can just talk you through it. But this is what it looks like. So it's a bright yellow powder. And it's very, very pungent and quite, if you smell it, it's quite acrid, it's quite strong. We're going to use that. Now what Asafoetida does is it has the same flavour profile as onions and garlic. So it adds that sort of pungency without having to use onions and garlic. And this dish it's a Gujarati style preparation of making mung beans. So if
you don't have mung beans, what can you do?
If you don't have mung beans, so if you don't have mung beans, you can use any lentil. Brown lentil, you can use green lentils, something like that. Just any whole lentil that you can cook, and make sure it's nice and soft, and then you can add all of the other ingredients to it that we're going to talk through.
Debbie said her ex called it anti-fart agent.
It is so Asafoetida is really good for your tummy, and it's really good for your digestion. It's also a really nice way of adding those flavours without having to use onions or garlic. So a couple of people did ask me, and they said, as we were talking beforehand, so if you haven't got Asafoetida, you can use onions and garlic. So if you are doing that, you need to chop up your onions, and you need to put them on in a pan with a little bit of oil and just saute those off, because you need them to cook. You don't want them to really be very raw in this dish. You just want to soften them, and then add your garlic and just soften that. So if that's what if you're using onions and garlic, you want to start doing that now.
Are you using black or yellow mustard seeds?
So I am using black mustard seeds. Black mustard seeds, brown mustard seeds, that's what you tend to use in Indian cooking. And we'll do that once our lentils are cooked. So I'm going to move this onto the back.
Tracy has Asafoetida that's 10 years old. Does she need to buy a new one?
You've got Asafoetida that's 10 years old. I suspect that you probably do need to get a new one. So spices are natural ingredients. So Asafoetida, what it is, it's the sap from a plant that's almost it's fennel-like, and the sap is dried and then blitzed up, and that's what Asafoetida is, and it has that sort of pungency. If it's been in a cupboard in your kitchen for 10 years, I would suspect that it's lost a lot of its pungency. So ideally, yeah, I would suggest that a new bit of Asafoetida is not going to break the bank. Right, have a look at your lamb. It should be doing something beautiful and just cooking away amazingly well. That's looking good. We want all of that to come together. Now this is a dish that if you wanted to, you could add potatoes to it as well. Because of that slow cook, it will work really, really well. But you don't have to. I'm not going to, but you could if you wanted to. just some little round baby potatoes would work, or some chopped up potatoes, something like a Desiree will work as well.
Nick said, I've read if one uses Asafoetida once, you'll never get rid of the smell in the kitchen. Is that true?
It is pretty punchy, I have to say. Asafoetida is very, very punchy. So while our lentils are coming up to temperature, in another pan we can start to make the aromatics and so on that we're going to add the dhal into. So we'll do that in a second. Before you do that, one of the bits that you need to get ready for your lamb is your yogurt. So you should have just some Greek yogurt. What I will encourage you to do is just beat it a little bit so that it gets nice and soft, and it all sort of starts to look like it's whipped. Just aerate it a little bit, because we're going to add this into the sauce. We want it to be really nice and soft.
Mike said he's jumping the gun a bit. Do you know what you're cooking next week yet?
Next week, I have no idea. I did try to plan these, but I quite often like to go with what I'm feeling that week and just sort of think, do you know what, I'll do this. I don't know what I'm cooking next week, but so far we've done lamb this week. We did prawns last week. We did vegetarian the week before. So I suspect we'll probably do a chicken dish of some kind. If there's something specific that you want to do, please feel free to drop me a little message. I'm always happy to see if I can help you out. So if there's something specific, let me know. Okay, so look at my yogurt now. It looks really lovely and soft.
Can't really see it because of the light.
Okay. So, what I want you to see is my pressure cooker. So the little nozzle has come up, so it's reached a low pressure cook stage. This is going to come up further, and once it gets up to 2 bars, then we're going to leave it for 10 minutes. Right. So that's doing what it needs to do. In my pan then, just to get my dhal ingredients ready, we're just going to add some oil. For those of you who wanted to use coconut oil, absolutely that's fine. Now you need to be careful here, because we are going with dry spices straight into a pan. There is a slight worry that you might burn them. You do need to be quite vigilant here. So
has the methi been added?
To,
I don't know, Trixie's just said, has the Kasoori methi been added?
So I've added the methi to my lamb, yes, I have. I think that was is that Trixie? Yeah, so I have added some to the lamb, I'm sure I did. You've got me questioning myself now, I'm sure I did. When you're doing the masala for the lentils, do make sure that you are very, very careful and you don't sort of burn it. So we've got 1/4 teaspoon of mustard seeds going in. And then I've got 1/4 teaspoon of cumin seeds going in. And I'm just going to let that sizzle.
Salma is worried the yogurt will split when we put it into the lamb.
I will talk you through adding the yogurt into a hot dish. I'll talk you through all of that in a minute. But yeah, I see.
Teresa's not cooking tonight, but she's going to make lamb on Sunday for a Valentine's dinner for her husband.
Oh, you're making the lamb for Valentine's Day. That's so lovely. Oh, I hope you like it. I hope your husband likes it too.
Ramiro said, hello from Virginia in the US. I got your wonderful book, The Easy Indian Slow Cooker, and it's so convenient. I hope you don't mind, but I do veganize your recipes. They're probably not as good, but I try.
I think veganising the recipes is absolutely brilliant. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us. It's really lovely to have you join. I have no problem with my recipes being adapted so that they suit your family and suit your needs. That's the whole point of having recipes. Now, for those of you who can you see the top of my pressure cooker? So we've got the 2 red lines now, so that's now cooking, and hopefully those lentils will get nice and soft. So into this pan, I've got my cumin seeds, I've got my mustard seeds, and if you can hear, they're just starting to pop. So I'm going to turn it down because I don't want them to burn. I'm going to add my Asafoetida. Issue.
Tap him up.
Can you hear me? See? See, we're keeping it real. You know we're keeping it real. These things happen. Anyway, right, so the pressure cooker, I've removed it, so it's just losing the pressure now. And once that's safe to open, I'll open it and we'll have a look at it. In the meantime, what we're going to do is we're going to add yoghurt to the lamb dish. Now, this can be a tricky thing to do because your yoghurt can split. There's a couple of things that you want to do. Is you want to have it on a very low heat.
Can you go over the spices and the lentils quickly, please?
Okay, so before I do this, I'm just going to talk about all I've done in this pan is the spices for my dhal, the lentils, just some oil in here, and then I've added some black mustard seeds, some cumin seeds, a quarter of a teaspoon of each, and a quarter of a teaspoon of Asafoetida. And that just sort of started to pop and come to that lovely temperature, and then I've turned it off just because I don't want those spices to burn. Okay, and then we're going to come back to that once the pressure has come out of our pressure cooker and we're ready to cook. If you are not using a pressure cooker, or if you're using split mung beans, then your mung beans should be ready to pretty much go by now, so don't worry about that. Okay, so in your curry, what we're going to do is we're going to add our yoghurt. You don't want your yoghurt to split. There's a couple of things that you can do. Sometimes what I do is I put in about a teaspoon of gram flour into my yoghurt, and that just stabilises it, so you can do that. Or the other thing you can do is just make sure your pan is on low, so it's not on a really high heat, because that will split. And then you just add a tablespoon of yogurt at a time, so just a little bit at a time, and then you mix it to incorporate it into the sauce, and then you go in with another spoonful. So you need to do it gradually rather than just throwing it all in, and then you are more likely to have problems with it splitting. So we're just going to do that now. It incorporates in, and then you add another spoonful. It looks yummy, it looks really good, and it's smelling really good as well. So I'm just going to add another spoonful in. If I show you. So there's just a dollop of the yogurt there, and I'm just going to mix that in. And remember, this is on a very, very, very low heat now.
Does the fat content affect the ability to split? Can I use zero fat yogurt next time?
So it does. I'm a bit funny when it comes to zero fat anything. I just think there's just no point. You're probably better off adding a little bit of creme fraiche to it, or just miss the yogurt out. Don't put it in there. I think the whole point of the essence of doing it, you sort of lose if you go for a zero fat. But you know, the probability of it splitting, yes, it does make a difference depending on the fat content. Lovely. So that's all mixing in really, really nicely. And it changes the colour. You'll see that the colour changes.
Debbie said, my chicken isn't cooked. Should I wait?
No, because we're gonna, once the yogurt's in there, we're gonna let it cook for a little bit longer. So my lamb isn't ready either. It's not cooked. We're just sort of doing it now so that all of those flavours incorporate together, and then we're going to let this cook for another few minutes while we finish the dhal. There we go. And because I'm not going to keep you for the whole of your Friday evening, I will show you what it looks like, but then I will probably leave mine to cook for a little bit longer, because mine is particularly bony pieces of lamb that I just want to just let them simmer away for a bit longer. But I'll show you what it looks like before I do that. So hopefully you've done this and your hasn't split. Mine hasn't, which is always good. So as I said, it's on a really gentle heat, and that's all mixed in beautifully. Yum. Now I've added a little bit. Right. So
Joni is very distressed to see you haven't had a single sip of a secret drinky. Where are the bubbles in those beautiful flutes? It is February.
It is February, so we've been very, very good. I've just got food all over me. We've been very good. We did all of January. We did halfway through February, not for any reason, just because we did. But I did have a little glass last Friday, I have to say, and I'll probably have a little glass tonight later on, but I just haven't got around to getting it out of the fridge. But this is what it looks like. Look at that colour, it looks beautiful, but it hasn't split. So I'm going to pop the lid back on now, and we're going to just let that cook away and simmer away.
Can you say where you got up to on the dhal?
Yeah, so we're coming back to the dhal now. So, have all your lentils cooked, guys? Are you happy that they've all done what they needed to do? Because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, well, not quite, I'm going to open it in a minute. I'm just going to pull this up, just get the last bit of the steam out. So all that steam is out. I'm going to have a look at my lentils now. Is everyone still still at the same place. Yep, so we're going to look at these lentils. I'm going to open this. Yeah, they are done. So if I show you, these are completely cooked. Can you see in that spoon? There we go. Completely cooked. Lovely. So they are done. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to reheat my pan. And you know, one thing we haven't done is we haven't put any salt into our meat. So I'm just going to season mine. I forgot to do it earlier. So I'm just going to add some salt into my lamb.
Johnny's wife has just looked at the pan and said, "Oh, that looks nice." Now he's asking you, from a woman's perspective, does that override forgetting to buy her a Valentine's card?
You still have a day to buy a Valentine's card. It's not, I'm sure there'll be shops open tomorrow, so you're not getting out of it that easily. Okay, so into my spices, I'm going to add my lentils.
Hank's mung beans are still a little bit firm.
Well, put them, if your beans are a bit firm, put them back on and let them just cook down a bit longer. There we go. Now, my dal is in, my lentils are soft and they're cooked through. I've put them in there. We're now going to add some, we're going to add some turmeric to them. 1/4 teaspoon-ish. Put a little bit more in. I'm going to add some chilli powder, and this is a great way to do it if you can't have tomatoes and so on. And put some salt in. Give that all a stir through. And you'll start to get that lovely colour coming through. Look. See, really, really easy dish to do. Oh, it's really nice. It's got a really earthy, nutty deliciousness to it, but if I show you how that looks, can you see? Really yummy. And then just to finish that off, what we're going to do is put a good squeeze of lemon juice into it and some coriander. I'm just going to have a quick taste, just make sure the seasoning's okay. I'm pretty sure it should be. Always taste, this is the fun bit. A little bit more salt. You could have this just with a little bit of rice. Perfect. So into that, a good squeeze of lemon.
Karen has said, this needs a cocktail. Even though I'm not cooking right now, am I allowed to make a gimlet with gin, lime and a dash of bitters?
I think absolutely you are allowed to have a cocktail. It's Friday night. You get to put your feet up and relax. I wouldn't expect anything less.
Couple of questions. Could you please adapt as you go along for the split mung beans? Do I need to add water to this?
No, so with this dish, it's supposed to be a dry dish and it's not too wet. If you prefer a wet dal, then absolutely you can add some liquid to it, but you don't have to. That's what it's supposed to look like. So.
And then what does it look like if the yogurt breaks? Is it little bits of white?
You'll see little bits of split. You'll know when it's split. Once your yogurt is split, there's very little you can do to change it, so you'll know that it's split. So what I'm going to do now is the dal is done. That's complete and delicious and lovely. My lamb is going to take a little bit longer, but I'm going to dish it up so I can show you what it looks like, and then you can decide if you're just going to let your lamb simmer away for a little bit longer, or your chicken, and let it do its thing. But I'm just going to show you how.
And then, are we heating the dal through, or are we just combining?
No, so you heat it up and just let it sort of come together. I'm going to pop it in here, but you'll get that lovely flavour of the mustard seeds and the cumin. It's really lovely nutty flavour that you'll get through from that dal. But it's as I said, it's a dry lentil dish. So I'm just going to finish that with some coriander. Just sprinkle that all over the top just to finish that off. So that's your lentil dal done. This is why pressure cookers are so good, because they're so easy to use, especially for dishes like this. They just lock in all of those lovely flavours.
Karen said, my dry dals tend to catch at the bottom. How can I avoid this, especially when doing red?
You really need to just stir them, or just turn them off, because dal, it can catch, especially these dry ones. So I would suggest that you just sort of take it off and let it sort of let it do what it needs to do. Otherwise it's very hard to stop them, or you have to just keep stirring them every now and again. So here is my delicious lamb dish. Now the proviso is that it needs a little bit more cooking, so I am going to put it back in the pan after we finish, but I don't want to hold you up for the whole of your Friday night. You should get a really lovely masala with it. Some of the smaller pieces have already cooked, but it's all going to just, there's nothing like meat on the bone for flavour. The way that it adds amazing flavour to your dish is pretty special.
Rosa has said, in Venezuela they cook with lime, not lemon. Is it the same?
That's fine. You can use lime if that's what you've got. Use lime, it's fine. So there is our lamb cooked on the bone. So that is lamb with or ghost masala. So it's a really lovely deep rich masala, and we've cooked the lamb that's on the bone just to give it that lovely amazing flavour. And then we've cooked a really nice dry mung dal in the pressure cooker, and you've got this lovely little dish to have on the side. Great little lunches, great with bread and that kind of thing. But there you have it. So we've done 2 dishes for your Friday night curry club. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for cooking along with me if you have. As always, I will ask you to take a little picture of your dish and share it with me either on Instagram or through the app, but just share it with me so I can see what your dishes look like. But let me know what you thought, let me know if it was tasty. I am going to let my lamb cook for a little bit longer, so if you need to do that, then that's absolutely fine. But thank you for joining me. I hope you had fun. It's always a pleasure to cook with you. Give us a thumbs up, and I will speak to you, and I will see you